These pictures were not released to excite you. They were released to warn you. Before a single word is spoken in the finale, these images already tell us who is standing tall, who is already broken, and who may not walk out alive. This is not a tease. This is a quiet goodbye hidden in plain sight. The first thing that hits you when you look at these exclusive finale images is the silence. Not the absence of noise, but the presence of it. Every frame feels heavy, like something has already happened and we are only seeing the aftermath. No smiles, no confidence, no sense of victory. These are not images of people celebrating success. These are images of people preparing to live with what they are about to do. The tone is colder than anything we have seen all season. The lighting is darker, the spacing between characters is wider, and the environments feel empty. This tells us one thing very clearly. By episode 10, alliances are already broken and choices are already locked in. What makes these images so powerful is what they do not show. There are no group shots that suggest unity, no shared spaces that suggest teamwork. Everyone appears alone, even when others are nearby. This is a classic signal in this world. When characters stop sharing frames, it usually means trust is gone. The story is no longer about plans. It is about consequences. The finale images make it clear that nobody is moving forward together. Everyone is moving forward for themselves. Another detail that cannot be ignored is body language. Shoulders are tense. Heads are slightly lowered. Hands are either clenched or hidden. These are not relaxed people. These are characters who know that once the night ends, something will be lost forever. The show has always used body language to tell the real story, and these images lean fully into that idea. Nobody looks surprised. Nobody looks confused. They all look prepared. That preparation suggests the finale is not about sudden twists, but about long decisions finally coming due. Even the locations speak loudly. The spaces feel stripped down and lifeless. Warehouses look emptier. Streets look colder. Rooms look tighter. This gives the feeling that the world itself is closing in. In earlier seasons, the city felt alive and chaotic. Here, it feels like a witness, like it has seen this before and knows how it ends. The images are not asking questions. They are delivering a message. The war is already over. Now we are watching the final cost. Most importantly, these images feel final because they do not promise anything beyond this moment. There is no forward motion in them. Everything feels paused, like the last breath before impact. That is why these pictures matter so much. They are not marketing tools. They are storytelling tools. They are letting us know that episode 10 is not about who wins. It is about who survives the truth of who they have become. When a series reaches its final chapter, it starts speaking a different visual language, and these images are fluent in it. The colors are muted, almost drained of life. Blacks, grays, and deep shadows dominate the frames. This is not accidental. Bright colors usually signal hope or growth. Here, the lack of them suggests that hope is no longer part of the conversation. What remains is control, fear, and acceptance. The finale is not trying to lift anyone up. It is trying to bring everything down to its most honest form. Another important detail is framing. Characters are often placed at the edges of the shot instead of the center. This creates a feeling of imbalance. It tells us that they are no longer in control of the world around them. Even powerful figures look small within their surroundings. This visual choice reinforces the idea that power has a price, and that price is isolation. No matter how high someone climbs, they end up alone at the top. The images quietly repeat this message again and again. The distance between characters is also meaningful. When two people appear in the same image, there is usually space between them. They are not close enough to touch, not close enough to trust. This distance reflects emotional separation, not just physical space. It suggests that even if characters share a goal, they no longer share a bond. The finale is not interested in repairing relationships. It is focused on showing what happens when those relationships finally break. Lighting plays a huge role here as well. Faces are often half lit, half hidden. This visual split mirrors the internal conflict each character is facing. One part of them knows what must be done. The other part knows what it will cost. This balance between light and shadow has always been part of the show style, but in these images, it feels heavier and more deliberate. It feels like a judgment. What truly separates these images from regular episode promos is their stillness. There is no motion suggested, no action frozen mid-move. Everything feels paused. This pause creates tension because it forces the viewer to sit with the moment. It makes you feel like time itself is holding its breath. That is the sign of a true ending. Not chaos, not explosions. Silence before the final word is spoken. These visuals are not asking you to guess what happens next. They are asking you to feel it, to understand that whatever happens in episode 10 will not be undone. There are no second chances left. The visual language is clear. This story is closing its book, and it is doing so carefully, deliberately, and without mercy. Sometimes the most important part of an image is not who is in it, but who is missing. These exclusive pictures are full of absences, and those absences speak loudly. Certain characters who once dominated the screen are nowhere to be found. That does not mean they are safe. In fact, in this world, being absent from promo images often means the opposite. It suggests that their fate is too important, too shocking, or too emotional to hint at visually. The lack of shared presence between key players is also a warning sign. When people who were once inseparable no longer appear together, it usually means their story is ending in separation, not reconciliation. The show has always been honest about this. When brothers stop standing side by side, the ending is rarely peaceful. These images reflect that truth without spelling it out. There is also a noticeable lack of authority figures in positions of comfort. Nobody looks protected. Nobody looks secure. Even those who once felt untouchable now appear exposed. This suggests that the finale strips away layers of safety and leaves everyone vulnerable. Power no longer protects anyone. It only isolates them further. Another absence is joy. There is no celebration, no relief. Even moments that could suggest victory feel hollow. This tells us that even if someone technically wins, it will not feel like a win. The images prepare us for an ending that is emotionally heavy, not triumphant. Survival will come with regret, and success will come with loss. The backgrounds themselves feel empty of life. Fewer people. Fewer distractions. This emptiness reinforces the idea that the story has narrowed its focus. There are no side paths left, only the final road. Everything unnecessary has been removed, leaving only the core conflict and the people trapped inside it. These omissions are intentional. They guide the audience toward the understanding that episode 10 is not about surprise cameos or last-minute saves. It is about resolution. The kind that closes doors instead of opening them. The images are careful not to give hope where none exists. They are preparing the audience for an ending that respects the story's weight. There is a difference between teasing an episode and preparing an audience for farewell. These images clearly belong to the second category. Everything about them feels reflective, almost respectful. Like the show is taking a final look at its world before turning out the lights. The pace suggested by these visuals is slower, heavier, and more emotional. This is not a sprint to the finish. It is a walk toward the end. What truly makes these images feel like a goodbye is their honesty. They do not promise redemption. They do not suggest escape. They show characters exactly where they are, stripped of illusion. This honesty has always been at the heart of the series, and the finale images lean fully into it. They are not trying to soften the blow. They are preparing us to accept it. There is also a sense of final positioning. Characters appear placed where they will ultimately stand when the story ends. Not moving forward, not looking back, just standing still, facing what they have built. This kind of visual storytelling is rare, and it is powerful because it respects the audience's intelligence. It trusts viewers to read between the lines. The emotional tone of these images suggests that the finale will linger after it ends. Not because of shock, but because of meaning. The story is not ending loudly. It is ending clearly. That clarity is what makes it hurt. There is no confusion left. Only truth. In the end, these exclusive pictures are not meant to excite you for action. They are meant to prepare you for closure. They tell you that when the final episode ends, there will be nothing left to chase. No unfinished business. No loose ends worth pulling. Just the memory of choices made and the cost they carried. That is why these images matter. They are the final warning before the final chapter. Not everyone will get what they want, but everyone will get what they earned. The finale images speak in a quieter way than people expect, but that silence is intentional. Every detail feels controlled, measured, and final. The colors are drained, almost lifeless, as if the world itself is tired of watching the same cycle repeat. Blacks, grays, and deep shadows dominate the frame, making everything feel heavier. This is not a visual style meant to impress. The way characters are framed also tells a powerful story. Many of them are pushed toward the edge of the screen instead of standing at the center. This subtle choice creates imbalance. It suggests that no one truly controls the situation anymore. Even those who once believed they were untouchable now appear small inside their surroundings. The city, the rooms, the streets all feel bigger than the people inside them. Power has flipped. Instead of shaping the world is now closing in on them. Distance plays a major role in these visuals. When two characters appear in the same image, there is often space between them. They are separated by shadows, walls, or empty air. This distance is emotional, not just physical. It reflects broken trust and unspoken resentment. Earlier in the series, closeness meant loyalty. Now, distance means survival. Standing too close to anyone is dangerous, and the images make that clear without using a single word. Lighting is another key signal. Faces are rarely fully visible. One side is often hidden, swallowed by darkness. This creates a sense of duality. These characters are standing between who they were and who they have become. The light represents the part of them that still remembers why they started. The shadow represents what they had to turn into in order to stay alive. The finale images freeze them in that moment of conflict, unable to move forward without losing something important. There is also a noticeable lack of motion in these images. Nothing feels like it is in progress. No one looks mid-action. Everything feels paused, like time itself has slowed down. This stillness is unsettling because it removes the chaos viewers are used to. Instead of gunfire and movement, we are left with faces and silence. This tells us the finale is not about action. It is about consequence. The storm has already passed. Now everyone must stand in what remains. Another detail that cannot be ignored is how empty the environments feel. Fewer people, fewer signs of life. The spaces look abandoned, as if the city has already moved on. This emptiness reinforces the idea that the journey is ending. Side stories are gone. Distractions are gone. Only the core remains. The images feel like a final narrowing of focus, forcing the audience to look directly at the characters and the damage they carry. What makes this visual language so powerful is its honesty. It does not try to mislead or hype. It does not promise victory or escape. It shows characters exactly where they are at the end of the road, tired, isolated, and aware of what comes next. The images do not scream for attention. They whisper a warning. The ending is not going to be loud. It is going to be heavy, and once it lands, there will be no way to undo it. As powerful as these finale images are, their real message lives in what we do not see. The absences feel loud. Characters who once dominated entire episodes are suddenly nowhere in sight, and in this universe, silence like that is never accidental. When the show chooses not to show someone at the end, it usually means their fate is either too final or too emotional to hint at. These images are protecting the impact of what is coming by keeping certain stories hidden until the last moment. What stands out most is the lack of shared space between people who were once deeply connected. Bonds that defined earlier seasons are no longer visually acknowledged. Brothers are not framed together. Partners do not stand side by side. Allies are missing from each other's worlds. This separation is not random. It reflects emotional distance that can no longer be repaired. When characters stop sharing the frame, it usually means their relationship has already ended in spirit. Even if the final act has not yet played out on screen, there is also a noticeable absence of protection in these images. No one looks guarded. No one looks backed by an army or shielded by power. Even characters who once operated from a place of confidence now appear exposed. This suggests that the finale strips away safety. Titles, influence, and reputation no longer matter. When everything falls apart, all that remains is the individual and the choices they made. The images make it clear that no one is walking into the end surrounded by loyalty. Another striking absence is warmth. There are no moments of comfort, no shared laughter, no sense of relief. Even scenes that could suggest survival feel emotionally cold. This lack of warmth tells us that even if someone makes it out alive, they will not leave whole. Survival will come with emptiness. Winning will feel like loss. The images quietly prepare the audience for an ending that hurts not because of shock, but because of truth. The background itself feels drained of life. Streets look empty. Rooms feel abandoned. There are fewer faces, fewer moving parts. This visual emptiness mirrors the narrowing of the story. Side characters fade away. Extra noise disappears. The world shrinks until only the main conflict remains. This is how final chapters work. Everything unnecessary falls away so the ending can land with full weight. These omissions also tell us that the finale is not about surprises meant to excite. There are no hints of last-minute rescues or unexpected alliances. The images do not suggest hope arriving late. They suggest acceptance arriving early. Characters appear to already know what their ending might be, and that awareness shows in their posture and expressions. They are not fighting the truth anymore. They are standing in it. By leaving certain faces out and separating others, the images guide the audience toward a deeper understanding of the finale's tone. This is not a story about fixing what is broken. It is about facing what can no longer be saved. The absence of togetherness, protection, and warmth all point to the same conclusion. The end will not be about coming together. It will be about standing alone with the weight of everything that led here. In the end, these missing pieces are just as important as the images we see. They remind us that some endings are too heavy to preview. They must be experienced in full. The show is choosing restraint over spectacle, and that choice signals confidence. It knows the story does not need to shout. The silence will say everything once the final episode begins. Everything about these finale images carries the weight of an ending that knows it cannot be softened. The mood is reflective, almost quiet, like the story has slowed down on purpose to let every moment settle. Nothing feels rushed. Nothing feels flashy. The images do not beg for attention. They simply stand there, confident that the meaning will land on its own. This calmness is not peace. It is acceptance. The kind that comes when all choices have already been made and all paths have already been walked. One of the strongest signals of goodbye is how characters are positioned within their environments. They are not moving towards something new. They are not framed as if they are stepping into the future. Instead, they appear grounded, almost rooted in place. This suggests final positioning, not transition. It feels like the show is saying, this is where everyone ends up after everything they have done. There is no sense of rebuilding. There is only reckoning. The expressions on faces also feel different from earlier episodes. There is no hunger, no ambition burning behind the eyes. That fire is gone. What replaces it is awareness. Characters look like they understand the cost of the road they chose. Some look tired. Some look hardened. Some look emotionally empty. But none look uncertain. That certainty makes the images heavier because it tells us the finale will not rely on surprise twists to carry its impact. The damage is already done. Another reason these images feel like a farewell is the emotional distance they create. Even when characters are close in space, they feel far apart emotionally. There is no sense of shared purpose anymore. Everyone seems locked inside their own thoughts. This isolation reflects the core theme of the story. Power creates separation. The higher someone climbs, the fewer people remain beside them. By the end, there is no one left to lean on. The environments reinforce this feeling. Locations feel stripped of personality. Rooms look colder. Streets look emptier. The world that once felt alive and chaotic now feels quiet and watchful. It is as if the setting itself is stepping back, allowing the story to end without interference. This creates a feeling that the world will continue on, but these characters will not move forward with it in the same way. Their chapter is closing. There is also a lack of visual promise. The images do not hint at future stories or open doors. They do not suggest what comes next. This is important because it confirms intention. These visuals are not designed to lead into something else. They are designed to conclude. The show is not asking the audience to look ahead. It is asking them to look back and understand how everything reached this point. The tone of restraint is what makes these images feel respectful. The story is not screaming for attention at the end. It is trusting its legacy. It knows the audience has walked this road alongside these characters for a long time. The images feel like a final acknowledgement of that journey, a moment of stillness before the final words are spoken. In many stories, finales try to go bigger, louder, more shocking. These images do the opposite. They pull inward. They focus on faces, silence, and space. That choice suggests confidence. The story does not need chaos to make its ending matter. The meaning is already there, built over seasons of choices and consequences. By the time these images fade from view, one thing becomes clear. This is not a pause. It is not a setup. It is a closing statement, the kind that does not need explanation. When the final episode,